refresh it.
And we are live. Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well. Dennis, Alex, and Dan, Muddy Water Search and Recovery. And it seems like it has been a while since we've all been on here, thanks to my internet connection.
Yes, it's been like months, it seems like.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So
I am showing a full connection still tonight, so hopefully this goes well.
Yeah.
But we wanted to, there was a search that took place last weekend, and Alex and Tammy went down. Alex was the lead on that search and just done an amazing job on this search. This search location, we're not going to reveal where the location was at this point in time, but this particular location came up thanks to the work of Dan and the family of Marc Fullerton. So thank you guys for getting this location. And thank you, Alex and Tammy, going down and doing such a great job on this search.
Well, thanks. It was definitely it was something new. Our other searches that we have taken part in have usually been walking, just generally looking at stuff on the ground, looking in the woods, and this was a 100% full excavation. We had an excavator, we had a skid steer. We basically had notes from accusations, rumors, of possible situation, and we acted out with the family on that information. So yeah, this was definitely a first for that style of investigative work. This style of open source investigative work where we're going off information that's been handed to us through research, through the family, through social media, the whole basically the whole way we did it. So yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. And it was hard work. The very first day we were there, it was extremely hot. And then the second day we had brief, off and on. The temperatures did cool off quite a bit. And then we had multiple different rain showers and stuff. So yeah, it was quite the learning experience. It was a lot. But it's definitely different than your typical walking, just basically boots on the ground walking type, investigative work. This was, equipment digging, sifting through stuff, looking at all the different stuff we were coming across. So yeah, it was quite the experience.
See, and we do have some photos we're going to share tonight. Alex was sending us photos throughout the process, and we're going to share some of those with you guys tonight so you could see what all took place. But we also want to say a big thank you to the property owners that allowed the search to take place on their property. Without them, this search would not have been possible. So if you guys see this, thank you very much for that. It is greatly appreciated.
Yes. Well, I mean, we definitely want to say thank you to everybody that took part in this and, played a part in it, played a role. We are very thankful across the board for, everybody, because it was a group effort to make this happen, make it work. So yeah, But yes, thank you to everybody that was involved.
Most definitely.
And I know Dan, there were times Alex would send a message, hey, could you look at this date, this, get an image for this? Where was this at this time? And Dan was on the ball with that, getting that dug up, sent over, and just done incredible.
Yes.
Very quick, too.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it was definitely a lot of coordinating back and forth. I spent a considerable amount of time, sending pictures, sending video. I was going back and forth with Dennis and Dan the entire time, because unfortunately they were not there with us. So, I had to make this as real as possible for them so they knew exactly what we were encountering, as we were, doing this and what we were finding. And, we were looking at stuff, sifting through stuff, and we were reaccounting all the different stories, the different things that we might find, what we might not find. And so I mean, there was times where, I would, message both of you and like, hey, what about this? Here, look at this picture. What is this mentioned, in these notes, in these rumors, these accusations? And there was and there wasn't. I can't go into details, but yeah. So yeah, it was boots on the ground and back and forth communicating with you two the whole entire time.
Yeah, it was rather interesting to see the pictures and everything like that because had it not been for us seeing the pictures, we would not have known until you got back.
Yeah, definitely. And I felt bad because I felt like the phone was just constantly ba-bing, 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 but I was trying to document and document picture wise every possible scenario of every piece of evidence or just stuff that just didn't look right or anything and everything. I was trying to have proof of what we encountered.
Say, you done incredible with that because the biggest part of my weekend was at my computer and with my phone, and just you kept us a part of that, and that was really appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it was I can say it's one of the it was definitely a learning experience, and I guess it might sound silly, but watching other groups of people who work on missing people's cases or documentary shows like on Netflix or Prime Video or something. It's a lot to look at it, and I mean 100%. It's totally different than just walking. Perfect example is a Crystal Kipper case. Walking the farm fields. We would find evidence. We would look at it, just stuff in the field that keeps being tilled up. This is totally different. Our first visual of the site was looking at stuff, and then when we started excavating, of course, we were down a couple feet and we started finding stuff. So it's definitely a different world when it comes to hands-on, boots on the ground type work.
Most definitely.
And in that kind of search there, I don't know if we're going to have a lot of searches come up that require all of that to take place. But if we do have another one, there's no doubt you've got this handled. You've got it under control.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We've talked so many times about the GPR equipment and the ground penetrating radar. And I think in the future, that is such a critical piece of equipment that, we will acquire it, you know. Um, and it's just, I think it could be a game changer in numerous particulars in this case and other cases, where we need to be looking more. I can't go into details, of course, but it's just something that it's going to be it will be just as much of a critical tool as an excavator or a computer, or your phone. I mean, it's just as an important piece of information when it comes to the story of the person that's missing, the tragedy, before and after, and the whole part of it. It's just one, I guess, one more tool in the toolbox when it comes to searching and looking for people that are missing.
And when it comes to search related tools, the best comparison to the GPR is your water sonar. You got to have your water sonar to adequately search under the water, and GPR is needed to adequately search underground.
Yes, that is true.
And that is definitely a tool that's going to be needed for multiple cases of ours.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's just so many cases where, people are, supposedly buried in a field, or there's people that were put into concrete. They're put under the flat work in a sidewalk or a basement, or another example is the case of the 3 women out of Springfield, Missouri, the Springfield 3. Supposedly their bodies were placed at I believe it's the Cox COX hospital.
Yes.
Lots. And if I remember right, maybe you can refresh me on, if you guys can refresh me on this. Did they not do GPR and they did find something, but it wasn't enough evidence for them to jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was frustrating because they found 3 abnormalities in the concrete structure, and the measurements of the abnormalities is consistent with the measurements of all 3 ladies that are missing.
Yeah.
And all it would have took is for them to cut that section out.
Yeah.
It would not have hurt the structure.
Yeah. And if my memory serves me right, and I could be wrong, were they not under a sidewalk or a stoop that was poured off of the parking garage? It wasn't physically.
I believe it was part of the wall, the bottom wall on the parking garage.
That what it was? I couldn't remember if it was that or if it was a sidewalk or a stoop area somewhere off the sidewalk and the stairs or something. I couldn't remember. But yeah, I mean, we've had so many cases where, that piece of equipment is needed. And I've watched plenty of other videos where they have used that, and they have found evidence of stuff. So I mean, it's definitely something in the future for many of our cases that ones that we haven't visited and ones that we have visited, where we will be using it someday. And if other groups reach out to us and ask for assistance, we'll go. We'll lend a helping hand, because in the end, it should be everybody working together in unison and getting along to help bring these missing people home. That whether they think they're gone or they're not, I mean, somebody has to do something. So. Definitely something that we have to acquire soon.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull some of these images up and let people see what transpired last weekend.
That was quick.
If
Seconds and it was gone.
If I could stop double clicking it.
So,
Maybe.
so this image here is basically, if I don't know if you want me to kind of try to explain some of these images.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
So basically through the digging process, we were looking for stuff that was in the ground that was passed along to us. And there was areas where we would encounter stuff, and then there was areas that we would not. And generally when we would encounter stuff, we would pull what we were looking for out of the ground. We would look through it, and we would basically go till it was clear where we weren't seeing anything anymore. Once that stopped, we would, move, in a certain direction, and we would dig test strips, and basically we would dig down to approximately 5-6 feet, trying to see what we'd encounter. So this is an image of where we were basically, doing test strips to look for evidence. And that's exactly what this picture is showing. So, this was a strip that we had, pulled the dirt out, and we would basically go to the point where we would encounter dirt, sandy loam, sand. We would inspect each side, looking to see what we would find. So that's what one of this section is here. And this is just another picture of the soil conditions, and possibly what we were encountering as we were digging on this property. And once again, if you look down at the bottom, you can see some debris that's in the bottom of this picture in the dirt. So this was another area where we were digging, and we would start encountering debris that was in the soil, etc. So this picture here, this was an interesting picture. This was an area where we had dug about 5 to 6 feet down, and we were almost at the point where we were going to stop in this strip that we were clearing, and we ran into concrete. And there was a pretty big void underneath the concrete. So I had climbed down in there and was taking pictures. And of course, this is a picture that I was, sending everybody to show what we were finding. But so this was a, picture of a crevice or hole where something had been buried, possibly debris from, something. So this here is a picture of course, you can see what appears to be debris that has been burned in a hole that was buried. This object here, this is a wheel that had a tire on it that had been burned. And this was in an area where there was not a large amount of burned trash debris, but we had found a couple of wheels that had some tires that evidently had been, in a fire, whether it was in the hole or in another location, and then was buried. But for the most part, that's what you're looking at, is a wheel that the tire had been burned off of as it had been thrown in a fire. Excuse me. This is just another area where we were digging and we were starting to encounter, debris, trash in a certain area. This is another picture of an area that we were digging, and of course you can see in the center of the picture there is material from a fire, a burn pit, etc.
See, that was the images we had to pull up tonight. So to make it clear, how deep was you guys digging?
I think at the deepest we had ever went was approximately 6 feet. I know one time we had gone through the the topsoil, and then we went into like a sandy loam type mix, and then we went into pretty much pure sand. Um, I think at one time I was down in one hole, and I'm 6 foot tall, and I could just barely see out of up and over where I was standing in, because I was down looking at stuff, evidence that was in the area where we had been digging. Um, at this point, we never ever reached a water table. There was a few times we did encounter, wet, moist sand, but there was never a time where we physically encountered the water table. So um, that's basically, I would say at the most the deepest we ever got was about 6 foot.
And then I know we've talked about it, the team has, but some of the trash that was found had been burned. Was there any signs in any of the digging of a full blown burn pit?
In all honesty, the areas that we we had been originally digging in, it appeared to me that a hole had been dug and that this burn trash had been thrown in it, because the ground where we were digging, it didn't appear that the ground had been in any severe heat. The soil, it didn't smell like a fire. So to me, and by no means am I an expert in this type of, well, I don't know the correct term that you would use, but it did not appear that the stuff that was burned, it was not burned in that hole. It appeared to me that somebody had dug a hole, and the only reason is because the excavator, as it was digging, was not straining to dig this material out. The soil, the sand above the actual stuff that we had found, it was not straining to dig it. You know, 3/4 of all the stuff that we dug, the machine would struggle to dig through it. So that was a sign that it's never been excavated before. It's not been removed and put back. But the areas where we encountered trash or the burned material, the machine had no issues whatsoever removing the soil and sand off of it.
And Barb asked what a water table is, and Natasha nailed this. It is the upper surface of the zone of saturation that is saturated with water in the ground. Basically, it's where you run into the groundwater.
Yes, it's the water table in the ground. So if you're ever bored and you want to like learn where you live, you can go to the USGS website, and you can go to your area and you can do your zip code or your actual physical area. And if you scroll through all the different little tabs and buttons, there's a water table link. And therefore, you can look at the water table reports and the test wells, test dig sites for your area. So the locations of interest that we were at, I had done the research through the USGS website because there had been some questioning of the areas, and the questioning was the water table. So therefore, before we had left town, I did some research on it and came up with the numbers for the whole general area. So basically, if you live next to lakes or you live next to rivers, if you're below sea level, typically you have a water table. And if you dig down so far, water will start seeping up out of the ground. So therefore, there's lots of times where if you see a job site or a construction site and it's near a river or a lake, and a perfect example is like New Orleans in Louisiana, places like that, they have to have pumps running all the time. I believe New York is another one. And so is, I think, San Francisco. Because of the water tables, a lot of places have pumps constantly running to keep the water table down because, if you're building a new building, you evidently can't build when the ground is saturated because buildings will sink, etc. So, if you have time, it's a quick little read. You can watch tons of videos on YouTube about it or Google it, and it'll explain more in detail about it.
I'm running through the comments, making sure we're not passing up anything.
Kevin is in the chat.
Hey, Kevin, hope you're doing well.
Unfortunately, I can't see the chat.
I pull it up on my other phone.
I'm afraid if I turn my computer on, it might cause some weird reverb, and we'll get off.
Right, it's running good right now.
Yeah, we don't want to jinx anything. So.
Now, where the trash was dug up in that area, you guys did dig down deeper than that until you run into basically pierced sand and was able to confirm there wasn't nothing underneath the rubble. Correct?
That is correct. So every time we encountered something, we would usually dig it all up, lay it up on the ground. We would visually go through it, inspect, all of us that was there. We would visually look through it, inspect it. And then we would dig down past it till we got to clear earth material, whether it was sand, dirt, whatever. And then we would dig all the way around it. So we would dig because, we didn't know if we were on the edge of a burn pit, front, side, back, whatever. So, we would dig all the way around it till we were clear. And if we went all the way around it and below, then we would consider that dig site clear. And then we would, basically clean up and, move to the next location. So that's basically how we worked every area that we encountered. And if we basically started in this area where there was potential rumors, accusations of, Marc could possibly be here, we would start there, and then we would do our test strip digs. And if we didn't encounter nothing, and then we would move over 4 feet. And then we would do another one, 10, 12 feet long, etc. And if we didn't encounter anything there, we would cover it back up and we'd move over 4 feet again. So that's how we would basically, because, within 4 feet of something, we should run into something, some type of debris in a burn pit, etc. and we would dig down, like I said, 6 feet usually. We would dig down, and as I had mentioned before, a lot of the areas we would dig, the machine would struggle. And I'm not saying like it wouldn't dig it. You can just tell when a machine is trying to dig through soil and sand that's never been exhumed, has incorporated air into it, and is put back, and it's not in its natural state. So,
And seeing that some of Mark's family is watching tonight, we do want you guys to know that yes, we may not have found Mark when the team come down there last weekend, but we are not giving up by any means, and we'll continue doing everything we can to help you bring Mark home. And that does include possibly potentially coming back down for another search elsewhere if search locations come up.
that is correct. Absolutely. Yeah, but by no means are we giving up. Any means, I made a promise that we'll be back. You know, so and especially when we acquire the GPR unit, um, we'll be back. I know we have some other situations that we can use some other equipment that's in our toolbox for that. And we discussed it with them. So absolutely, we 100% are not giving up, and we'll be back.
Not a chance.
So,
And I can't speak for what the families go through. I won't even try to do that. But I do know going out on a search and you put in the work and you don't find that missing person, that just adds to that motivation and that drive to do more to find that person. And that's no different with Mark's case. We will not give up till he's brought home.
absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you can't give up. I mean, because, and it's like we said, we can't, you know, um, everybody's experienced something in their life, tragedy. Everybody reacts differently to it. Um, so, it's just part of trying to help someone get closure, bring peace. Um, you know, being able to go to sleep and not have 1,000 questions running through your head as you lay there and stare at the wall or stare at the ceiling fan. So to keep working at it and try to bring closure and help, that's what counts.
And Natasha says that, Jennifer, I will get with you tomorrow on what we could do next as far as trying to get the information you guys need to bring Mark home. That is what is important right now, is bringing this young man home.
Yeah. And I think, as long as we keep working at it and narrowing things down, and I think anything's possible.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
There is no I in it. It's teamwork. People working together, cooperation. The whole thing, and I mean that to me that's how things happen. So,
seeing from our vantage point, it looked like Mark's family that was present for the search was elbow deep out there, involved in the efforts, working together. That teamwork is just incredible.
yeah. I mean, that's talking, discussing things, sharing stories. I know Tammy spent a lot of time with Kevin, talking to him, with Jenny, you know, talking to her. I had spent a lot of time with Jimmy, as we were digging and looking at stuff. I mean, it's just part of it. I mean, everybody trying to work together and talk through things, and just well, hey, what about this? Well, this is my idea. Well, what about this? You know, uh, putting the information up front, talking with each other. That's how it has to be done. Um,
See, in the talking and the information sharing and stuff, there are times when it seems like it's the smallest of details that actually blows one of these cases wide open. So the whole working together, talking together, and digging into the details is really needed in these cases.
I mean, we can sit here and tell each other and tell everybody, we will discuss something 10, 15 times over days and days. And, we'll bring it back up. Well, Dennis, what about this? Well, Dan, what about that? And we will discuss it and talk it through. And, sometimes there's one little thing they're like, well, wait a minute. What about this? Well, this doesn't make sense. Well, wait a minute. Why didn't we think of this before? So, it's definitely something that I've learned, that just because you learn the alphabet one time, you've got to learn it many times. I know that's stupid to use that, in a way like that, but I mean, you have to go over stuff. You have to read every document time and time and time again, and like I've discussed with you all and I've discussed with everybody else, um, I watch things over and over and over. I mean, perfect example is Natasha's videos. I watched, Tammy and I watched Natasha's videos when we were on our way down there. I watched all of the Marc videos that we could find on YouTube, because I always want to hear everybody else's story to add it to our story as the part that we play in the big story, of Marc being missing and what happened to Marc, So, the research side of it, the whole trying to, just learn as much as you can and think about it. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And then, I'm messaging you two, and we're down there digging, and I'm like, well, hey, what about this? I mean, perfect examples. The other day I was watching, another video online, and something caught my attention, and I sent it to you all, and I'm like, hey, listen here at this, at this minute mark. Does this make sense? Does it not make sense? So um, it's it's an interesting thing to be a part of.
Exactly.
It really.
Like for example, there is certain things that can't be put out in the public for safety of the team and safety of the um, property owner, the family. But other than that, I think we've been pretty transparent with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I, we didn't say where we went. Tammy and I did social media blackout. You know, um, the only people we talked to that whole weekend, basically, about this situation was, you all and the family. Um, I haven't publicly said anything about, what we did, where we went, nothing, you know. What is Trace Labs? I've never heard of that. Are we still there? Did we freeze up? No.
No, I'm reading through there.
So, Natasha, can you explain more about what this trace lab uses this abbreviation here, because I mean, forgive me, I have no idea what that is. I really don't.
It's open source intelligence, I believe.
Oh. Haven't quite heard that yet before.
So they do have a YouTube channel.
Oh, look who's
Okay, yeah, OSINT, that is open source intelligence tech.
Interesting. Boss lady's here.
Uh-oh. Hey, at least she didn't catch you using her makeup tonight.
Right.
Fortunately, the channel will not be sponsored by oil of Olay or some other substance that's in a jar.
until she leaves the room, of course.
Actually, I'm down in the big room at the computer desk. So.
Oh.
Interesting.
That's that email she sent to us.
Okay. And Tammy, Jennifer says, hi, my sweet friend.
Oh, hey. How are you, dear? Good to see you.
I'll tell you one thing. Today was a busy day. A lot of new information came out today.
Yeah.
But
You guys were doing that, and I was pushing dirt.
it was about a good 2-hour conversation. I won't get into who said what and what the information is yet until we can confirm it, but it was rather interesting.
Yeah, it seems like stuff has been picking up here quite a bit lately. All of a sudden,
Oh yeah,
people,
Starting to talk.
starting to talk. It seems like we go in little spurts and stints of information, and people will reach out and, hey, I saw a dog walk across the street that day. That type of stuff. And then there's times where it's just quiet.
Now I won't lie. When I started seeing that stuff come up out of the hole, I was kind of getting excited because it was getting consistent with what was told to us.
Yeah.
We were too.
I really thought when we started that day, I thought we were the accusations and rumors of what you might find was lining up pretty quick. And I was on my stomach down in the dirt looking at stuff as we were, every scoop I was down there and looking, and it was it was pretty intense there for a little bit, because I really thought we were on the right track.
See, Megan was upstairs asleep at that time of morning when you started digging that up. I come upstairs, woke her up, said, I think they are close. She jumps up, comes downstairs, and we just knew at any moment we were going to get that news. And
Yeah.
And then when Mark or Alex was going quiet, we thought or at least I thought they found something.
Well, I'll admit there was quite a few times where my phone died because I was so much pictures and videos, and it's something I learned that next time we're definitely buying a battery phone bank, battery thing to take with us where you can plug your phone in. And I know it sounds silly, but I was trying to get the stinking car to charge the phone, and it wouldn't hardly charge. And I mean, it was a pain in the butt trying to keep the phones. But I'm definitely going to buy one of those, emergency powered, battery boxes that you can plug your phones in. And, of course, you charge your phone at night while you sleep. And I don't know, what was it, 10 o'clock, and my phone was already dead because I had taken so many pictures, and videos that it would not, for some reason, it just wouldn't keep up.
Taylor.
And I never ever have those issues. So
Taylor, you check the pizza.
So
you done. I counted up the images that you sent, not counting the videos, and there was over 80 images you sent up that weekend.
well, then, and there was also quite a few videos
Right.
I had taken that were a minute and a half long, 2 minutes long, and they wouldn't go through because I kept getting the warning that they were too long, that they wouldn't go through. So there's, just me, explaining what we're encountering, you know, taking, more video, the footage of the, videos of the footage. And for some reason, I just couldn't. And I'm not super tech savvy by any means. And so, yeah, there was quite a bit more video footage. It's just, I guess in the future, when you shoot video in 4K, you should limit it to 1 minute videos.
Yeah, because like me with the iPhone, I have to airdrop anything over 30 megabytes. They won't even let me email it.
I don't even know what airdrop is.
It's basically sending an email, but the person has to download it.
Okay, so I'm still lost on that one.
See, then on top of all the images and the videos, you were in the chat with us, keeping us up to date. There were phone calls. I mean,
oh yeah,
you guys had a heck of a weekend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The videos that Alex would send, covered in sweat, red faced, they worked their tails off that weekend.
It was hot.
And so thankful you guys were able to go down and do that. And
Yeah. Well,
Most definitely.
it definitely is something that had been in the works, and it just, we had some situations that came up that it had to work on all parties involved, and finally the right weekend it all came together, and we loaded up and left, and we, like I said, we did our research on the way down there. We were watching videos, we were going over stuff, we were chatting with you all. I'd talked back and forth with Jenny a few times. And it was just basically trying to absorb everything. So, in my mind, I didn't want to miss one little possible piece of information, and it still wasn't enough time to absorb it all. And then I'll admit, the very first night, we were there, I went to sleep and I woke up and I stared at the ceiling. I only slept a couple hours. I mean, I just couldn't sleep. I was just so, just like, well, what if we encounter this? Well, what if this situation arises? It was so many different things. And the second night, I finally was able to go to sleep. But yeah, I guess the first night was just so much sensory overload, of all the possibilities, that we were going to encounter.
and thankfully you had Tammy there to keep you lined up.
She's our counselor. So
I enjoy that, though. I enjoy.
She is awesome. So glad to have you guys on the team. Everything you guys do, Dan and Jeff and Chris, and I mean,
Yeah.
Jeff and Chris had jumped in the chat a little bit while you guys were doing the search. They were staying up to date on it, and
Yeah.
it's just we were hoping to find answers for the family. Granted, weren't able to bring Mark home, but we were able to find some answers. We do know some spots now that we can mark off that Mark is not there, help narrow down the locations of where he is, and help us eventually find Mark.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, because like we said, we're not done by any means. We made a promise that we would be back. We have a couple different, areas of interest, and we'll have more equipment next time, and hopefully we can find the right answer, and the answer is Mark. So,
Okay. Thank you.
so and like we said, when we first started digging and we went to the first area, and I don't even think we were into it maybe 5 to 8 minutes, and we started finding stuff, and it was stuff that was lining up with stuff that been
Yes, she's still alive.
handed down to us. So
She's still alive. She still lives in Missouri. I won't disclose where, but I know where she lives.
Sorry, making sure we're still caught up on the comments. But very, very thankful to Mark's family, everything they done to help get this search lined up. Now, as Alex said, everything had to click just right for this to take place the way that it did. The time frame going into this, from the time this location come up to the conversations with the property owner to being able to go down to do this, compared to what most of our searches are, this one actually moved really quick once it started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it just kept going, and then they were able to go down and do the search.
yeah,
And a lot of that is thanks to the work that Dan put in, working with Jenny to get things lined up. And that's a big thanks to you guys for that.
yeah, yeah.
It's definitely not over.
What'd you say?
What'd you say, Dan?
I said it's definitely not over.
Absolutely
yeah.
not.
I think from the very first start till the day we actually arrived, I think it was somewhere around 6 weeks. Basically, with everything had to line up right. Every party that was involved with it, and so yeah, I mean that's one part of this. It's usually just not a phone call and like, oh yeah, come on over. It doesn't ever work out that way. There's so many times on other cases, people's like, well, just go knock on their door. It very rarely can you can even go to your neighbor's house and knock on the door and they're going to answer. I mean, so
it's not that easy. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's like what she says. It just doesn't. It's not like the old days of going next door and borrowing a couple eggs. It's a lot of work.
And in particular, this one, because essentially you're asking to dig up a large part of their yard.
Mm-hmm.
So just the shock a homeowner is going to have just to hear that their property is in question to a missing persons case, then finding out we need to dig up your yard, that's a blow right there.
Yeah.
And thankfully, this property owner, obviously there was some shock, but thankfully it was, hey, you guys go ahead, come in, do this, do what you need to do. And I got to say, looking at the images as it was being backfilled and packed in, you guys done an incredible job releveling the yard, making everything look nice again. It looked really good.
Yes, it was. It turned out nice, and that was something that we had to make sure that it was returned back, nice, respectfully. Um, and kind of to touch back on something you said, I think a lot of times it is a lot of times where most people will basically, it's always shock. It's always the information that is told to them. It's a shock, and then I think majority of the people that you talk to have children, and once it's in and they think about it, and then they realize, well, I would want answers if it was my child. And then usually the shock part of it, the not to say freaking out, but just it's something the average person is never going to have to deal with. Somebody coming to them and saying something, to them. So I think it's just something that it's a lot. It's a lot for someone to digest. And we've talked about this before when we Crystal Kipper's case. And, I had to write the letters to all the farm field owners, and I had to explain the whole story. And I could only imagine what it would be like for them to have opened the letter from me, basically telling this story, providing the missing persons case flyers, and asking for permission to come walk through their farmlands and look at stuff, and this case was different because this was a case where we had to come and dig because of the possible rumors, accusations that this is where Marc was at. The other places, a lot of times it's just walking and looking, to start out with, and then leading into other stuff, where this time we actually thought this is, what we were encountering, and we actually did start encountering that as we started digging. Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble on too long about that. Anytime I ramble on, somebody just say, all right, Alex, cut it off.
And Carolyn, no, unfortunately, Marc was not found on this particular search, but hopefully this helps narrow down the locations. And when we do get to come back down, hopefully we will be able to bring Marc home.
Yeah, and definitely, you got the email address in the description, right? For anybody that has any information.
Yes. Yeah, any information you have on this case, please reach out to us. Our email and phone number is down in the video description. And again, it doesn't matter how insignificant the information may seem or how small it may seem. Please get that over to us.
Yeah. Yeah, because at this point, getting Mark home, proper burial. That this is, at this point, this is the end story where we need to be. To get him home, start the healing process to the family. A proper place where they can visit Mark.
Correct.
The proper resting place. That's where we need to provide that. So any information, that's we need to get this done.
Yeah, I want his family to be able to go to bed at night and know where Mark is, know that he's been brought home.
Yes.
Then, this is pretty obvious a foul play case. And after Mark is brought home and his family have the answers and have him home and lay him to rest properly, this is one of those cases I look forward to the justice system doing their job and justice being done for Mark.
100% to everyone involved, regardless of who they are, what they do for a living. They all need to pay.
100%. Hey, Trev Time, how you doing?
You paid me a visit last night in my live stream. How are you?
Yes, guys, if you haven't already, and I don't have a link down in the description tonight, I forgot to put that in, but Dan does have an account over on TikTok. Make sure to go check that out. And Dan, I don't know if you could put a link in the comments or something.
Don't let me.
Okay.
Pretty much everybody here in the chat right now has it. Maybe with the exception of Caroline. I don't know who she is.
But definitely check that out and continue to follow him over there. He does awesome videos over there, good live feeds.
Yeah. And, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, help get the word out about Mark and all these other cases. One way, shape, or form or another, sharing the videos, this, that. I mean, it all helps. Any which way you can, it helps.
Yeah, I changed the name of my YouTube channel too. I don't have nobody over there though. I just started moving videos over when I found out they were trying to ban TikTok.
And guys, anytime that a video or a flyer is shared, that is an opportunity for that case to get out in front of somebody who may just have information to solve that case. So anytime you get, I don't care if it's a flyer that Dan has made with Muddy Waters and with what he's doing. I don't care if it's a random flyer you find on Google. If you get a chance to share a missing persons flyer on social media, please do that. That one share may play the big part of bringing that missing person home.
I'm so glad you said that. I've been waiting till you finish talking to talk about that. I was on a live stream last night with a missing person out of Stillwater as my backdrop. And a woman from Texas came into my live feed and told me that she seen that person, that she gave me the location, what he was driving, what he was wearing, everything. I was able to contact Stillwater Police Department. and so they can gain access to videos.
Nice.
Yeah, Kevin, they don't return my calls either. I understand where you're coming from on that one.
And then on that one, I will step out and say that it's been on a couple cases they're not returning calls on.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I've had I'd say 5 of them won't return their calls that I've tried anyway. But there has been some awesome ones that either return my phone call or answer the phone, answer questions. Some of them will say, "Sorry, I can't give you that information." But I have had at least 5 of them say that they're not gonna give out any information or return any phone calls. And Pemiscot County, if y'all are watching this, y'all need to learn to return phone calls because we're here to help you solve a case.
And I'm going to jump back to the flyer sharing real quick. We've had multiple cases, and granted, most of these would be like your teenage runaway cases. We've had multiple cases where somebody has seen their picture on what we call our case layout videos, or it be a live discussion, and they would recognize this teenager, multiple different cases, 2, 3, 4, 5 states away, and was able to help bring those teenagers home. And they didn't even know about the case until they saw the flyer and the videos about that missing person. So sharing the flyers, the videos, and everything, it does help bring these missing people home.
Most definitely.
Has anybody statistically, not to get off the subject of Mark, but has anybody statistically looked lately at the daily rate of missing people? Is it leveled out? Is it going up? Is it going down?
The kids are going up and down, mostly up in Virginia. As far as on NamUs, it's been pretty level, but you know how you both know how I feel about that website, so
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad they're allowing me to enter cases into it now, though.
Yeah.
See, and another place to enter cases, they haven't been around real long, but the Missing Person Center, they're also doing an incredible job over on their website, and just missingpersoncenter.com, I believe it is, or you can Google them. But if you do have a missing person, you can go on there, and it's really simple to put all the information in to get the missing loved one added to their website. They are also linked with law enforcement. Law enforcement uses that website as well. There are other search and recovery teams that are linked on there as well that go out and search for the missing loved ones. So if you get a chance, make sure to look at Missing Person Center. I've talked with the president of their organization many times. Very nice guy, big-hearted, and is just doing what he can to help these families.
Yeah. There's quite a few good organizations out there that are really stepping up the game. The biggest problem right now is funding. No, nobody will ever give up on summer.
No.
Say for example, Sky Alert Foundation. She created that organization because her son Skylar disappeared. And now they have Facebook pages. They're working. I sent the information over to Dennis. They're working on getting drone teams together, acquiring their own drones. They're working on getting different websites and apps put up to where people can enter missing people into that app without having to fight NamUs or other websites like that. But they're doing great. And then you got, I think that's just the one you were talking about is another one, the Missing Persons Network. They're very good.
The Doe Network.
Yeah, there is the Doe Network. There's quite a few good organizations out there doing it.
Seeing that comes back, Kansas Missing and Unsolved. I know there for a little bit, the team had kind of went their own ways for a little bit, but they have now come back working together, and they're doing an incredible job getting the missing persons cases out to the public as well. And hopefully they will be joining us on a live feed before too long. And I know it keeps going off of Marc's, the topic of Marc's case tonight. But don't forget, September 10th, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, we will be live. It looks like OK.
Dennis is starting up. He's gone.
No.
Dennis.
Knock, knock.
Whoa. What was that?
I think you just went through like a time warp, man.
Yeah.
Because I blinked off, and on my screen, Dan blinks off. Then Dan comes back, and Alex blinks off, and then boom, we're all back.
So that brand new Homer something Wi-Fi booster thing that you got this morning didn't work, huh?
I don't know, because I'm still showing a full internet signal.
I was actually going to ask everybody earlier because you were starting to freeze up. You were talking, and all of a sudden you'd be
Oh man.
finesse. So I was going to ask, if not to jinx the show, but was anybody else seeing you freeze up? So.
And speak of the devil, OK Diver just jumped on the comments.
He's waving at you.
How you doing, OK Diver?
I messaged him yesterday.
Say he's done a tremendous job out there finding vehicles and diving on them.
Yeah,
he does. He does amazing work.
And Natasha says, LOL, we're still going. Let's just pray, LOL. Yeah, dude, that was weird.
Yeah, it was. It's been pretty good just till about 5 minutes ago, and I started noticing you were doing the ghastly mouth open look.
Yeah, and I just saw I froze again on there too. It's never a flattering time when that happens.
Right now, now you're back.
So I'm just gonna sit here like this just in case.
There you go.
But guys, we're definitely not giving up on Marc Fullerton's case. Please don't give up on that case. Let's all continue to do all we can to bring Marc home.
Yeah.
I fully believe he will be brought home.
Yeah. We're definitely not giving up. We'll we'll be back. I made a promise to him that, we'd be back, and we'll be back, and we will. Somebody's not wanting to go home. That in the background.
Like my daughter during bedtime.
Nice try.
But yeah, we're not giving up. We will be back. we will continue on locations of interest, and we're gonna this GPR that we need for multiple different situations, everything. I mean, we're gonna, we'll be back. So,
And I'm coming along the next go around. I'm not missing another one like that. That was rough.
yeah, you definitely don't want to miss them eggs at the breakfast buffet.
Oh man.
What's Jeff call them? The powdered eggs.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. That steak dinner looked pretty good.
that was really good. It was very delicious. It was.
And then the White Castle's on the way there.
That's right.
Saying I called that one too, because I mentioned you stopping at White Castle. Then you come on with the picture of your White Castle cup.
Yeah, we always hit the White Castle on I-70 in Columbia, Missouri. I mean, that's hands down. That's what you got to hit it up, man. That's the perfect spot to get out, stretch your legs, walk, get you a suitcase of sliders, a couple drinks, and get back on the road. So, but there's locations all over, and I don't know how many people here actually know that there is another place called Crystals, and Crystal Burgers. That's what Tammy and them grew up on in Tennessee, was Crystal Burgers. So Crystals are basically, in a nutshell, they're the same thing as a White Castle. They're just a little bit different flavor. The same little box, just a different. It just says Crystal on it, Crystals versus White Castle. But yeah, we definitely.
There goes Alex.
Now Alex froze. And Alex, I get to laugh at your unflattery picture right there.
Hang on. Wait. Don't unfreeze. Don't unfreeze. Don't unfreeze. All right. He can unfreeze now. All right. Something's acting up because I can hear sound static.
Yeah.
You can hear Tammy in the car. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, and we can see Alex robot moving. There we go.
Okay, how are we hearing Tammy but not Alex?
It's connected to my car. Honey. I don't know how to disconnect it. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Media. It's the device not connected. Sorry. Okay.
Wow. Okay, Diver might be getting donated a magnetometer.
That's a very
That is awesome, man. I know you will definitely put that to use.
Annalise, stop, honey. It's still connected. I'm so sorry. I thought I was gone. Sorry for the drama.
Hey, I'm glad it's not me this time.
Yeah. How do you help me?
Hey, Tammy, I got a nice picture. to send you for later.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Hey, someone type in the. Oh, Alex can't even see the chat. Hang on.
Annalise.
Oh, that's right. He can't see the chat. And I just put that in.
Sweetheart. Oh, let's just drive. They may lose signal. Sorry. I don't know what to do.
Okay, so Alex is going to sit here and do the hand signals while Tammy does the talking to see if they match up at all.
Oh, you're back. I can hear you now.
It jumped to the car.
Was you all there, Tammy and Annalise?
Yeah.
Sorry. She started the car. That
was pretty funny.
And Alex froze up again. There he is.
I gotta get the phone ready next time.
It keeps freezing up, and all three of us, the little circle thing starts. Is the show still on, or is it off?
No, it's still on.
The audience is having fun watching this one.
I bet. They're probably saying these jokers can't ever get a show together anymore. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, I am literally 2 feet from my Wi-Fi internet box.
Okay, diver's been probing a 20-foot slit with 10-foot long rebar looking for a missing vehicle that has been missing for 47 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's a long time.
That's a lot of silt.
Trev.
What? Yeah. Our shows are trying to be serious, but
you never know what to expect here.
Our technology is just out the door ridiculously. Always having issues.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. You know, we never used to have issues. It's just like the last 2 months, all of a sudden it's constant issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done hundreds of live shows and never had an issue.
Say, when I look on YouTube, it says we have like 650 plus videos that we've released in the last basically 2.5 years. February 7th will be 3 years.
Wow. That's pretty good. I know we've done a lot. So I know I used to do little live updates all the time, and some of the shows that I tried doing and stuff, you know, to keep people up with stuff that's going on.
682 videos. Wow, I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of videos.
This 2.5 years or so, it's actually flown by though. Say 2.5 years we've worked on. We've probably passed 800 cases now we've worked on in 2.5 years. Out of those, many of those were solved without anything that we actually done. But my last count, going back and looking, there's been a minimum of 48 cases that have been found with information that we've gotten to law enforcement or we've gotten to another team and got them on a location to find the missing person, or the runaways where their picture was seen on our video and recognized, and they got law enforcement and got those kids back home.
Yeah.
And Mac, the live streams are included in that video count. I don't have a breakdown of how many just live feeds we done. Plus, a lot of my videos that I do, I will still go through StreamYard so I can bring in some slides and stuff. And anytime I upload just a normal video from StreamYard, it comes across YouTube like it's a live feed, but it's really not live. Natasha said she's worked on close to 100 cases in a year, and to date, she's had 21 guilty verdicts.
Wow.
That's a pretty good success record right there.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be curious once again, statistically, how many cases actually get solved, daily, weekly, etc. I'd be curious to know that, with everything that goes on.
Yes.
See, and that's where the downfall of the websites come into play, is they're not updated the way they need to be.
Yeah.
Especially Namus. Namus is by far the worst one because it takes them months to add a case that they were given.
Well, and one of the things that I've discussed with you all is just like the updates, KBI, Missouri Highway Patrol. KBI is absolutely the worst when it comes to information, pictures, on their website. I mean, there might, out of every 100 people that go missing, there might be 5 that have pictures. I mean, seriously, we have the name. I guess in the things I would think are most important is, of course, the name, the location, and a picture of the person. Because really, if you don't provide a picture, then you're making somebody else do all the work to see what this person looks like to put a name with a face. And that's one thing I always was impressed with the Missouri Highway Patrol is, I would say 90% of their stuff has pictures on it. And why can't the KBI do that? What, these other states?
I give Missouri Highway Patrol some serious credit. They're up to date like that. I mean, no joke.
Yeah.
I have spoken with them many, many times, and they tell me the same thing every time. If it's not on our website, it's closed.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to individual townships, cities, police departments, I know there's so many times stuff comes up where, it's always negative and stuff. And, I don't know. I don't know what to think, I hate to always think if there's corruption or bad people and stuff, but there's always one end of the spectrum to the other. There's always good and there's always going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And, just, I guess back to Mark's case, just like his dad said, his dad, Kevin, said that they won't answer his calls. They won't call him back. Dan, you said they won't, respond.
Pemscott County does not return phone calls.
But why? What is the holdup? Is it,
You don't want my opinion on that one.
I know something. But
you already know my opinion.
But as for, let's just say a different 9 times out of 10, is it just a manpower issue? Have the people to answer the phones?
The excuse I get is they're in an interview right now. I'll have them call you back.
Yeah.
And they never call back.
Well, I know Dennis, some of our situations around here, Dennis has spoken with some law enforcement. And for the most part, they have always seemed truly willing to work with us.
Mm-hmm.
Front, honest, hey, this is what we've done. This is what we haven't done. Thank you for doing what you're doing. But then there's lots of places that I've heard through discussions with you and Dennis where they're just like, get out of here. We ain't got to talk to you.
Yeah. 2 of them are the worst. Dennis knows the one in Tennessee. And Pemscott County. Them are the 2 worst so far that I've had to deal with. Kentucky State Police, he was very open. Granted, I was disappointed that they didn't notify the family that they did find the remains, but he had no problem giving out the information. Idaho or Iowa, where David went missing. It's Iowa, I believe. They returned my phone calls.
Yeah.
Every county in Oklahoma's returned my phone call except for Love County.
Well, I know, and something else I've noticed is a lot of, once again, I'm pretty impressed by the Missouri Highway Patrol's website.
Mm-hmm.
They really put the information out there, the date they went missing, the date they were born, the county, the city, and then you can click on them if they have pictures, flyers, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other ones they just don't have nothing. And I guess, Trev times, a lot of places are understaffed, unfortunately. I believe that is correct because, we had a discussion last year at one time, and I know we'll go touch on the subject of COVID, the amount of people that died, the amount of jobs that were unfulfilled because people died. And then the amount of people that didn't have a job because their companies went out of business. You would think that there wouldn't be these issues. And here's another perfect, silly example of this crap. Yesterday, we went to Jimmy John's, sign on the front door, 4:50 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, closed. Due to staff shortage, we are closed. I'm like, what the heck?
And then you hear about all these people saying, I can't get a job here. I can't get a job nowhere.
Yeah. Some of this stuff just blows my mind at this point. But I don't know. I guess in my mind, I would think any law enforcement precinct, if people were trying to help, I get, maybe I'm totally wrong and thinking off, but I would just think that they would just be doors wide open, hands wide open. You want to help? You think you can help us solve this? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Please help us help the families, And I guess it just for the majority, the most part, it doesn't happen that way.
2 different detectives from Pemscott County. One for Rodney's case and one for Marc's case. Neither one of them returned the call.
Okay, so let me ask you this: Pemiscot County, like their staff, their law enforcement, like how big a area
It's
does?
pretty much the boot hill of Missouri, I believe.
Well, when I drove through there, I saw one sign that said you're entering Pemiscot County, and that's all I saw. That was it. I don't know where it went. I mean,
I think it starts north of Haiti and then goes to the Arkansas line.
yeah,
I'm not 100% sure,
yeah,
but I believe that's what it showed
yeah.
on the map.
Well, it's crazy. So it's just, I just would,
Scott County.
I guess, being on the other end of the extreme of trying to help with these type of cases. I don't know.
It has Crothersville, Haiti, Steele, Cooter, Wardell, Haiti Heights, Bragg City, Homestown, Holland, and more. Hang on, let me click more. Deering, Pensacola, Hayward, and Denton. They're
Yeah.
all the cities in Pemiscot County.
Wow.
I know Haiti Police Department's only got one officer. That's why Rodney's case was transferred to Pemiscot County.
Yeah. Well, I know the town that, we moved to, we had one police officer. And the first year I was here, he was let go and we did not have law enforcement. We subcontract our law enforcement from another county. So our township, literally, we have no police department. So, but we subcontract through another county to provide law enforcement. So, which is kind of sad, but I guess that's just how it works.
Hey,
So,
not to advertise, but anytime you guys need something to get a drink out of, this thing keeps things cold for 24 hours. It's made by Cal.
I have one of those, Dan. That same exact. And then I got the big giant Stanley Cup.
I was gonna get the black one.
Yeah.
But then I seen this big bad boy, and I drink a lot of sweet tea, so.
I have that one like you have. I have one of those too. So some days when I've got to go places long distance, for working on something or whatever, I'll fill up both those big ones and cram them full of ice, and then take me a grocery sack with some bottled water. That way I can keep it hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
But
and sometimes when it comes to law enforcement, I've had it go both ways. I've had them flat out tell me, we don't want you, we don't need you, we don't need anybody, we're handling this. And this was on a 15-year-old case. And so I had to tell them, look, good for you. But in this particular case now, we're not here for you anyway. We're here to help the family find their missing loved one. And I've had them to where here locally, as you were saying, very nice to talk to, very open, very friendly. And then I've had some officers tell me that they've had particularly YouTube team come in before. Everything was great. They joined them in a video. Everything was great throughout the search. After a team left the area and they edited their video, they come in and just completely trash talked law enforcement that they didn't do anything. Now, that particular officer is not open to working with an outside team like that.
wow.
Hi, Nicole.
I mean, yes, there is corruption out there, and I believe there is a little bit more than what any of us would like to admit. Not every department is corrupt. I I will have to admit, in Mark's case, I do see signs of corruption. And I'm not going to openly accuse right now, but some things are hard to look over.
Yeah. Yeah. I that's it's quite a bit. I mean, it's always, and this is one part where I say Dan shines. Dan shines when it comes to uh the information part, and talking to us. I praise Dan for his work in that department, of this stuff that we do. So, you know,
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dan, you are
I will
literally one of
explain
the
what that
best.
comment is when we are off the air, but I know exactly what that comment's about.
Oh, so sad.
Oh, yes, it is.
are you reading comments?
Yeah. I'll put it back up in case you didn't get that one. And Nicole says, Dan is the man. Yeah, when it comes to finding information, going through that information, Dan is one of the best I've ever seen. And Dan, you're not supposed to be on here when I brag about you, bud, but just ignore me for a minute.
I got
He
selective
is
hearing.
very good.
The hardest
And
part is to get to people to talk, but when they start talking, they get more comfortable and understand that I'm not out to hurt them, not out there to jeopardize anything that they've got going on. I'm just looking for answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like Nicole, she was great to talk to. She was very helpful.
see, that's what it takes is that teamwork, working together, sharing information, and just lead to answers and ultimately lead to Mark.
Yes. And that is the ultimate goal, is to bring Mark home.
Yeah.
So, guys, I know we kind of shotgunned here for a little bit on this, but I do want to say again, we're going to continue to do everything we can to help bring Mark home. Mark will not be forgotten. This case will not be dropped. We will be doing everything we can to find Mark.
He sees you peeking around the corner.
Yeah, we're definitely we're not giving up. This isn't our last video about Mark.
Nope.
We'll there'll be another one soon, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
guys, with that, I think we've about covered what we can tonight. Been about an hour and 45 minutes.
I was telling her to exit the room because what I got to say after this.
oh, I thought you were telling her to go get the pizza.
No. She already had dinner.
Go ahead.
I can't say it yet.
Oh, okay.
It still says we're live.
Oh. So, guys, with that, we will definitely see you guys down the road. Don't forget to share the video. You all be safe, and we'll catch you later.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a nice night, y'all.